Well, seeing you go through it and you too, Kristen, knowing that as an adult, a grown-up who isn't like having a pediatrician dissect their brain as a 7-year-old, like it's okay and actually encouraged to discover things about yourself and your brain and how things work up there later in life. And I love that you guys have started this podcast to talk about that, because I think it's very freeing for women who like, or any person who has felt rigid in their understanding of who they are, or maybe haven't been given the opportunity to explore it.
They said that we'd grow out of it. Well, the joke's on them, that's just our brains. We're eccentric, loud, and stubborn, and most of our clothing is covered in stains. It's not a deficit of attention, there's just too much to think about. So if executive dysfunction becomes a little too much, if you forgot why you came in this room, or you're hypersensitive to touch, then put on your seamless socks and come join our little flock. Bitches stimming together, we're weirds of a feather. Weirds of a feather.
How are my levels?
Your levels look normal. They look good, healthy, normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally when I record with an SM58 or whatever this is, I have to talk off to the side. So I just want to make sure it's not too quiet for your settings.
No, I think you'll be good.
Okay.
Yeah,
We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. Okay, Christopher.
Christopher,
Have to deal with it. No, I think you're pretty good.
will be fine.
Yeah. We usually turn it down a little bit because Kristen's usually on that mic,
I'm-
and she's a shouter.
I am a shouter. I'm also a bob and a weaver.
You
so,
are.
Yeah, he's...
Mike can't catch you.
Yeah. You're not going to be the problem, is what I'm trying to say.
Kristen's not the problem.
It's never the guest. It's always me.
Yeah.
Sometimes you.
Sometimes
Usually
no.
me.
Yeah. I think our best weeks were when we were holding our mics, honestly.
I think so too.
Have you ever recorded
Yeah.
holding your mic? I feel
a
like a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. Yeah. I feel like I'm like getting the crowd going.
Beatboxing,
Yeah. Where are you guys from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come here together. We laugh.
Shoot.
All right, shoot.
Oh, shoot.
You guys ready? It feels weird to have you like behind me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
I
hope you
feel
don't-
very
I
creepy.
was gonna say, I hope you don't feel like,
Like
you're
in
like
the
being
cup
shown.
chair right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
You look like
can watch us.
you're hosting like a fireside chat, and like we're the talent. and
Yeah,
you're the
I'm
moderator.
You're
like
the
the person
MC.
in the background
Yeah.
who's like looking up.
Mhm.
Actually,
Yeah,
You're
you're
learning to
actually.
Google.
Yeah, you're a fact
yeah,
checker.
yeah. I can do that. Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah, just stay quiet, stay back there until
Yeah,
we need you. Until
yeah.
we call you in. Yeah. All right, I guess let's start things off with welcome to Weirds of a Feather, an AuDHD-Adjacent podcast. I'm your host, Grace Beret,
And I'm your host, Kristen Stanhope.
and we are being joined today by a very special guest, Kylie Low of Dark Downeast.
Hi.
Welcome.
But I'm more than of Dark Downeast.
That's what
We have,
I
like,
am
deep
always saying.
history.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. Every time I bring you up, Kristen needs to give Dark Downeast a shout out, which is nice and I appreciate it. But like, Kylie and I also have a friendship beyond, her podcast.
Being your fairy pod mother.
Yes.
But I mean, yes, thank you for always with the shout out. And as Grace
what I'm
will
here
attest
for.
to, like my ego and like
Mm.
my lifelong need to be like recognized and given
Mhm.
attention is just like very fulfilled by that. So
Yeah.
I thank you. On
That's
the
what we're
record,
here for.
thank you.
That's what this whole
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
is about,
Yeah.
really, is so you feel
it's the
fulfilled. and-
Kylie Adjacent podcast.
Yeah,
really.
Today
we
it
should-
is.
Yeah.
Kylie Focus podcast. Just like my 21st birthday party where you wore your Olympic jersey. Or was that my 22nd?
It could have been both.
It could have been both. You wore your Olympic
I don't think it was
jersey.
21st.
No, it was 22nd because it was 2012. So I was 22.
Yes, because Summer Olympics.
Summer Olympics.
Duh.
And you wore your jersey out to the bars and told everyone you were on the tumbling team?
Trampolining
team. Sorry.
Wait, I have not
Right.
heard the story.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
Yeah, I showed up to Grace's birthday party wearing a skirt from my dance team, like my high
Nice.
school dance team days.
You can never go
And-
wrong with a skirt
Well, they're coming
True.
back, so I
They
like
are.
to think I was ahead of the
Yeah.
curve, and I
by
was
like 15
wearing,
years.
Yeah, yeah. I was wearing a Nike jersey, like Team USA branded, like jersey.
Yeah.
And
Like you're on the team.
I don't know why. I liked the cut of it, to be honest with you. Like it just like looked good.
Yeah, it
with
did.
the skirt. And I was really into the Summer Olympics that year.
Yeah.
And I wanted everyone to believe that I was a trampolinist. Because I think that was the year that people realized trampolining was an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that was like wide knowledge
It's
before.
like just believable enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I believe it if you told me.
Right?
Jeez, if you told me yesterday, like I'm on the trampolining team, I'd be like, sure, yeah.
I love a trampoline. I love bounce houses. I love
Me too.
bouncing.
You do love a bounce house.
I love like
Didn't
for
you rent one for your college graduation?
yeah, college graduation. I used my own money to rent a bounce house
Like
from a
an
place
adult.
in Old Town, and they came and set it up in the backyard of the house I rented in college.
Oh my God.
And they were like, they dropped it off on a Friday, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't have any more rentals until Monday, so you can keep it for the weekend." I was like,
Nice.
"Seriously? You guys mean it? Wait, I'm good." And I was like, "I'm gonna bring my blankets outside. I'm gonna like sleep in the bounce house." So
You love a bounce.
yeah, I'm into it, and now my kid likes it too.
Great.
She has to go to the jumping place all the time.
That's the dream.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Remember the time we went to the trampoline park together, just the two of us, before any kids were in the picture, just me and you, two adults, and it was a buy 1 hour, get one free. And we stayed, we're like, I guess, yeah, sure, give us 2 hours. And we stayed for like an hour and 10 minutes because it was just like too much balancing. It's such a workout.
It's such a workout, but I would go weekly. Like maybe I
Yeah.
should get a weekly versus a gym membership. Just like
Yeah.
a bouncing. Although the one in Portland, I don't remember I'm not sure if they remember the last time they cleaned it.
Ew,
It's
yeah. I don't know.
upsetting
think about
in
it.
there. And like now when you're bringing a kid and like they just touch and lick everything.
Ugh.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still
Where's
still
the one
worth a
in
visit.
Portland?
Over near the Home Depot.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, the big mega church.
I was gonna say
rock
the
church?
Yeah, the church.
Yeah, the big rock church.
The Point,
Point,
which
yeah.
has a great kids play place inside. That's completely free. You just, the god of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta like just kind of ignore that part.
Ignore
Yeah.
that part.
Mhm.
You're like,
yeah.
I know of Jesus. Here we go.
Yeah, me and him. Sure,
We're cool.
sure.
Yeah. If it means free play place.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Love a bounce. Love to
Lewiston
be
has a
jumping
bounce
up and down.
place, and my dad definitely lost my nephew there for a period of time, so that was really fun.
Oh, that's part of
Mhm.
normal childhood
Yeah.
trauma.
Mm.
He's gonna be really interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and-
yeah.
and it's like the middle
Character
child
building.
too. So we were all expecting the youngest one to be lost, and then we're doing a head count. I'm like, Dad, you were responsible for the middle one.
Head count. There's only 3 of them. It's like full
True.
summer camp.
Obviously, we needed a head count, and
you
he
couldn't
was
just like look and make an estimate that there's like one missing.
And my dad's
kids
like,
are
oh, he was just
stealthy.
here.
They are.
Yeah, and then my oldest nephew goes, I'll go find him. Both kids are lost.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
No,
this is
never.
bad.
Stay
I was
together.
like,
Yes.
oh my god.
Classic horror movie mistake.
I was
where
like,
one
my
by
brother
one they
leaves
go
the
off.
kids with us one time, and we like lose them instantly.
I thought I lost a kid I was nannying for at a bounce place, actually, also. And it was like the scariest moment of my life,
Correlation.
right?
Mm-hmm. Bounce places.
Bounce
and losing
places.
children.
Scary.
Yeah.
Scary stuff.
I could put an air tag on him or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Anyways,
So
now that we've covered that,
the bouncing portion of
Mhm.
our relationship.
yes,
Just like
which
we
is
planned.
a significant portion of our
Mhm.
relationship.
Yep.
Beyond that, we formed our friendship freshman year of college, and we've been buds ever since. You were always like my newest friend because a lot of my other friends, like Kristen,
Yeah.
were my friends since like first grade. So
Yeah.
I always considered you like my most recent best friend.
And she
But
hasn't
now
made
we've
a
been-
friend since.
Yeah, I haven't, and I
She's
won't.
like, I'm
and I
done.
I
won't.
could count on a couple of fingers how many friends I've made since.
Right?
So
But now we've been friends for like what, 15 years or something
I
like
don't know.
that.
It's not important.
2008,
to, like,
yeah.
date it. No, and I had always told myself this lie that I was bad at making friends.
Mm.
And so I didn't really believe that we had like made a friendship.
Hmm.
And I thought my way of making friends or at least maintaining relationships with people was like being of service to them,
Mm.
whether they liked it or not.
Yeah.
And so I remember like forcing you to allow me to clean your bedroom.
Very kind
for
of you.
example.
Yeah.
And like that's the strongest memory. Is it? Because you would invite me over to like get, pregame or whatever before going out to
so
the 4
college.
bars that Orono, Maine has to offer.
Yeah.
I would go in your bedroom and like, we have always been who we are.
Yes, very solidly so.
Like if you were to compare like just everything about how like our living situation, our organization, we've always been that way.
Very opposite.
And I would always force myself onto you to like, can you just let me just like pick up the laundry that's on the floor? Why don't you?
And I graciously allowed you to do my chores
yeah, which
for me.
I appreciated because like if you had said no, then I would have felt like I offended you, and then I would have gone into the whole spiral of like, is she really my friend?
God, I would never say no to that. Please come organize my home. Anyone is welcome.
Yeah, so that's like a pretty strong memory of college is cleaning your room, I guess.
You used to bake for me. I used to call you my college mom. You really were like a caretaker.
Yeah, whenever the memories pop up on Facebook of our comments back and forth, it's like, oh, Grace is coming over for some homemade bread.
Yes, yes. You would make me homemade bread. You would make me dinners.
Mac and cheese.
Yeah, because you lived off campus sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
And you had like a cute little home, and I was still in the dorms. So you would like make me homemade meals and shit.
Like that, I've always wanted, like, some people will grow up and they like always picture themselves as like, oh, I always wanted to be a parent, or I always wanted to be a wife or a husband or a partner or whatever. I was like, I've always wanted to own a house and like play house. Like,
and you did.
And I played house like as soon as I could. Like as soon as I had my own money or like, college financial aid, I was like, I'm moving off campus. I'm getting a house. Like I'm having people over to cook them dinner. That's like all I've ever wanted.
And you did it.
I did it.
And
Yeah,
now
you
you're
were like
living the dream.
Yeah, you were such an adult very early on.
In
I
some
feel
ways.
Like. Yeah.
In other ways, I was running bounce houses.
Yeah. The duality of Kylie.
Yeah.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have this beautiful friendship that's lasted a long time. I hope you feel like you don't have to be of service to me anymore, and I'm still your friend. I hope we've moved past that.
I do feel that, but I
Okay.
still want to show up for my friends in service.
Mm.
And like you have been in service to me so many times when I don't know if you like fully recognize how much I appreciate our text thread.
Aw.
And because one thing about me, and I'm sure we'll get into it, is like I want to understand my brain, but like I'm not necessarily going to go to a professional to help me understand my brain.
Yeah.
So like, let me just bounce this off Grace real quick. What is
And
Grace
that's my
like? And
dream.
you have been she's so helpful to even just help me sort out thoughts and thoughts that I feel like I can't say out loud to other people or shouldn't, or that don't serve me at all. I'm like, well, I can tell Grace.
Yeah, tell me anything. I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, I really appreciate that feedback, and I'm glad I can be that safe place for you.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh my
Stop.
God.
Ew. That was
Who even are we?
Oh. Remember that one time you wrote me a card and gave me a gift to thank me, I think about podcasting, like how, introducing you to it or whatever. And when you handed me the card and you were like, there's a lot of heartfelt stuff in there. Maybe just read it later.
Yeah, don't look at me.
Oh, yeah, you're like,
weird.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I have a lot of like heartfelt thoughts and emotions, in word form, but then when it's actually like happening in person, I'm like really embarrassed by it.
So embarrassing.
Like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. And like our friendship, my husband always calls it out. He's like, you consider Grace one of your closest friends. You guys live like very short distance away from each other.
Yep.
But you see each other twice a year. And I'm like, you don't have
get
to
it.
understand.
Yeah. He doesn't get it.
Yeah.
I think that's like a huge part of like the neurodivergent relationship though, where we can just like pick up where we left off.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And you don't need to be like hanging out 24/7 in order to keep that
You
friendship.
don't have to like consistently maintain, because especially with ADHD, we are just chaotic and disorganized. So it's nice to just like pick up wherever, and there's no like resentment over that. Like they haven't texted me in like 3 months. It's because I forgot you existed for a period of time. And now that I see that you're back in my life.
It's not even so much about like forgetting people exist. It's more so like in my mind, if I'm like really focused on tasks for a few weeks, I seem to think that time freezes and that like everyone else is frozen too. And then I can just come back and things like pick right back up, kind of forgetting that people are continuing to like hustle and bustle and go about their lives. So I think mentally it's like time freezes. Which is the beautiful thing about our friendship is, I don't feel that type of like, oh no, Kylie's going to be upset if I haven't texted her in a week or whatever.
Really low pressure. And I think I would hope that like all of my friends feel that with me. Like, I don't care if it takes you 14 business days to get back to me about something.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
it's
always
fine.
understanding.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll go through a period where you just like don't respond to my text for a week. And I'm like, I know that she'll get to it when she gets to it.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't bother me. All right. And last thing I will say about our friendship before we kind of move into the meat of this episode, which is kind of talking about neurodivergence and whatnot, is that we always described ourselves as the last girls laughing at the sleepover.
Because when you lived in Boston in that like basement apartment.
Oh, God. Bars on the
I remember
windows.
that.
Right?
I don't think I actually ever went in there, but I saw pictures. I was like, this is dangerous.
It was dingy.
That's where the Last Girls Laughing was birthed, I think.
Yeah, because you came down to go to a concert.
And I went to a lot of concerts in Boston, was always crashing at your place, at somebody else's place. But that one night, I remember we were both sleeping in your bed.
Yeah.
And I don't know what made us laugh.
I don't even know. We just had a case of the giggles.
We were just like one person would like fade off and the other one would fade right up. And it was just like this symphony of giggles. And
Max was like, shut up.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. I just stop laughing.
I need to write something down because I just remembered my secret I have to tell.
Okay.
For later. But yeah, that was Last Girls Laughing. And that was always the thing. It's like when you're falling asleep at a sleepover, you know, when you used to have like 10 kids over and you're falling asleep in your parents' basement.
Yeah.
There was always like that one girl or two girls
Two
who were
girls.
like just giggling. And the mom's like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's 2 a.m.
Yeah. And Kristen can't relate to this at all.
No,
'Cause at sleepover, she would literally
First girl sleeping.
down
That's me.
so hard. She's
Yeah.
like, we came here to sleep and I'm
It's a
gonna sleep.
sleepover.
Yeah.
I'm
sleeping over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No nonsense at sleepovers.
Yeah.
Even in an unfamiliar environment, you didn't have a hard time.
No,
Like,
I'm
Kristen
out.
could fall asleep on a rock.
Yeah.
Like,
I just need like a surface
Yeah.
basically and I'm out.
yeah.
oh,
It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's like a superpower the
Yeah.
way I don't know if I actually sleep. I think I just like pass out.
I think you just go elsewhere.
Yeah. I do a lot of dissociation.
Yeah.
So maybe that was it. I was just like dissociating, but
Yeah.
I am first girl sleeping. Even if I
And we are last
remember
girls
I'm
laughing.
like
just different.
I'm gonna
First
be
girl
that.
sleeping, last girl's laughing.
Yeah.
And they find each other.
Yeah.
Start a podcast.
Somehow we have a friendship. It's nice to have both sides of things.
Mm.
All right, Kylie, should we talk about are you ready? Are you set?
Yeah.
Not to like make it a big moment, but
Yeah.
I've just been wanting to obviously have you on this podcast. Oh, little accomplishments first. I
Yeah,
don't even.
we should-
I'm trying to get
okay.
serious, and it's not even time yet because first we got to do our little accomplishments.
Okay.
Are you ready to do the song?
Little accomplishments, but big in our hearts.
Nice.
You got it.
Yeah. You
All right,
nailed it.
Kylie, what did you accomplish?
This one is actually kind of a big one. I signed up for and went to a new kind of workout class that I'd never
Whoa.
done before.
Whoa, no
Was it
more Orange
Zumba?
Theory?
No more Orange Theory. Well, I'm still going, kind of. I'm still going to be part of that cult for, I think, probably the long haul. But it's a little bit too far away. I moved. And so I wanted to try a new thing that, like, still got me out of the house in the morning. So I went to a spin class.
Whoa.
And I didn't realize how involved spin is. I thought it was just biking in a room with a lot of other people.
Yeah, no, there's
You
like
are
a
sorely
leaderboard.
mistaken.
So wrong.
So
There's
wrong.
choreography and like moving to the music, and there's like lights that coordinate with the music.
Dang.
Loved it.
God.
And like
Yeah?
I had to have somebody show me how to set up the bike and like clip in my shoes. And I knew nothing. I was like a total newbie, but I did it and
that was
I loved
very
it.
brave of you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Congratulations.
I got a membership. Like I'm going
my
back. I
God.
keep going. So I really like it.
You're doing it.
I know.
You're a
So it feels
spinner.
big. Feels pretty big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
You gotta
legitimately
get the special
is big.
shoes.
Yeah, I bought the shoes because
Wow.
like one thing about me is I gotta have the gear.
You gotta.
Yeah, I gotta look the part.
Mm.
I did it.
You'll seem like you've been spinning forever, you know? Yeah, I'm really proud of you because
Thank you.
I hate doing stuff like that. I can't go because I've never been before. That type
Right.
of thing, you know?
Mm. Yeah, and that has been my issue in the past too. But I was like, I need something to get me out of the house in the morning. Their social media presence makes it look pretty fun.
Mm,
So I did it. If you ever want to go with me,
maybe. Now that you've been before, you could take me.
yeah. And
Well,
I
that's-
could make everything
that's-
less scary.
Yeah, that is something you've offered for me before because I feel like you are surprisingly good at going to new places on your own the first time. Like we talked about how you're going to take me to the pierogi shop. on Stevens Ave.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I've never
you
been
haven't
there.
been?
Yeah. And I can't go because I've never been.
Oh, I wonder if they're open tonight because I would
Yeah.
definitely fuck with some
I
pierogies.
need you to take me there.
Yeah, I guess I'm good at that, but
You are.
there's a lot of prep that goes into it too, like a lot of rehearsal and like where am I going to park, exactly what time am I going to leave, like lay my clothes out the night before, specifically for the workout class. Going to the pierogi store, I don't have to lay out my clothes.
pierogi outfit.
These are my pierogi clothes.
These are my pierogi clothes.
These
Not those shoes. The other ones. The pierogi shoes.
no, those are all wrong.
Those are my hamburger shoes.
So yeah, there's like a lot of there's a lot of prep.
Almost
before
like
I can try something new.
scripting in a way.
I was
Some might say.
Some might say.
But we'll get to that.
I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we will talk about that in a little bit. But first, Kristen, what did you accomplish?
I gave a gift to a friend.
Very
What was
nice.
that?
Good job.
He, as in his wife, just had a baby, and my mom's really into quilt making. So everybody who has a baby gets a quilt, and it is my job to deliver the quilt. And the last like 3 quilts have not made it to,
Ooh.
which is upsetting. I have 2 baby
Where
quilts
are
in
they?
my car. In my car.
Does
One's
she
for
know?
Haley.
For Haley had her baby
Don't
like
Years
4
ago.
years ago.
No, I'm the whole. Well, she's got
She's got
another
a third one on the way, so
Oh, she did. Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Another
that's
chance.
A lot
There
of
you
kids.
go.
That's a lot of kids.
So
Can you imagine?
I'm imagining it.
I
That's
gotta-
not for me.
Nah.
Nope.
Here's a pizza secret. I still have one for Megan's baby, who's like 5.
I have a onesie for Megan's
Yeah.
baby too.
I have.
That
And
kid
my
is like
mom, she spends
solidly.
so much time making. So, but this one she went all out for. And because she's retired now, so she can, and she like packaged it for me, and I was like, I
Aw.
can't not deliver this.
You
So
gotta.
I wrapped it in an Amazon box because I was like, oh, I got to leave it on their doorstep. I don't want it to like look like a present because I don't want anybody to steal it.
Yeah.
Turns out they live in a really nice neighborhood, and I was like, oh well,
No
Alma.
stealing
your
here.
neighborhood and my neighborhood are not the same.
No, you
I
don't need to
wrapped
like
it in
hide
duct tape. I'm
things.
like, no one's gonna want this.
Gotta kick it a few
yeah,
times.
yeah.
and-
I was even gonna spray like live animals on it, like spray paint,
That is
and then
so
I was
traumatic.
like, yeah. But then I was like, no, that's too much.
That's a lot.
And then I drive into the neighborhood. I'm like, oh.
Oh, this is fine.
I think I overreacted.
Put $50 bills on the front steps.
Yeah.
And it'd still be there.
yeah, they'll return them.
Right.
Also, side note, did you know that when we were in 5th grade, Laura and I were out on Long Island, and I found, it was me, we were walking on the beach, I found a $100 bill in the sand, and she made us go and turn it into like the town hall
Ugh, narc.
thing, and they're like, yeah, we'll find the owner, and like I didn't get to
Yeah,
keep
that
it.
went right into
Like,
that
what the
guy's
fuck?
pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like, oh yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
still mad about
mhm.
that. That was so long ago. Anyways,
Narc.
yeah, that is real narc behavior.
Yeah.
Like, just pocket it. I'll buy you an ice cream. Shut up.
I know,
Might as well buy
$100.
this whole island
Yeah.
ice cream.
Honestly, I could have bought that whole island. It's the $100 that got away. Anyways, I'm proud of you because
Thank
it sounds
you.
like that's been a real challenge for you
Yeah,
to get those
and
quilts
my
out.
mom's like, "How does Haley like her?" She'll like ask. I'm like, "Oh,
Kristen.
she
And then you
loves
have to
it.
lie.
She loves
Oh,
it." Yeah, I was
yeah.
even like, "Who else do I know who's having a baby?" And maybe I'll just give it to them instead.
Get Haley on the 3rd round.
You'll get it.
I
You'll
know.
get there, champ.
Yeah, you'll get
Yeah,
there.
I
There's always
just-
grandkids too. if
Yeah.
that makes
Right?
sense. Yeah.
the way we're going.
Yeah. Some child is going to get that
Someone's
quilt.
gonna get a quilt.
Yeah.
And I don't know who that's gonna be for, but yeah. So I'm proud of myself that I delivered that. And
I'm proud of you as well.
yeah, everybody who has a baby, she's like, "What are the colors?" The colors, because she wants the quilt to match the nursery. And I'm
Those
like,
colors.
I don't know, Mom. I just found out they were having a baby, and so she wants the colors and she wants like the baby dimensions, like height, weight.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have an
Of the
episode called Baby
baby.
Dimensions.
That's it.
Specifically because of this type of conversation about Kristen's mom. How she always wants the baby
she
dimensions.
Always wants the baby dimension. I'm like, I don't know.
Does she
They-
like embroider them onto the
no
quilt?
No, she just
Oh,
wants.
she
to
just
know
wants to make
for
sure
her
it
own
fits.
personal.
In general, the babies are pretty much the same
Yeah,
size.
I was just
So
like,
not a lot of variation.
Yeah.
It's healthy. Everything went fine. Mom and baby are healthy. And she's like, what's the length? And I was like, I don't know.
What does it matter?
I was like, she's like, how much did it weigh? I'm like, ounces.
Yeah.
some
I
amount.
don't know.
Just say a combination of numbers starting with 6.
Yeah.
6 pounds.
Well,
7
so I
ounces.
started
Yeah,
making
yeah.
things up. I've done that.
You
And
even made up the
I
name
made
of
up
Haley's
a name,
kid.
and then it turns out wrong name.
Would you call it Patrick?
I called Haley's baby Patrick.
It's Calvin.
I felt pretty confident about Patrick.
You
though.
were really solid on Patrick.
Yeah. And then she found out it wasn't Patrick, and she was upset. She's like, "You told me it was Patrick." I was like, "I swear it was. They must have changed it last minute."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like an interrogation. She's got like the spotlight on me,
And you're not equipped at all.
Yeah, I'm not. I was just like, it's healthy. Mom and baby are healthy. Isn't that all that really matters?
It literally is all that matters.
Yeah.
The length, who cares?
Yeah.
Why do we announce that?
Why do we announce that? Kylie, as a mother, why do we announce that?
You're the only experienced one.
I don't know.
You
I
didn't
don't know
have
why
people
it's
grilling you
important.
for your baby dimensions.
Nobody
Yeah.
grilled me for my baby dimensions, but when I announced, I included the fact that she was 7 pounds even. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know why.
Like, unless they're like freakishly big
Yeah.
and it's like, wow, Maine's largest baby. I get that. Or Maine's tallest baby.
Like, can you imagine, like, every year on your birthday, you announce your dimensions?
Yeah. She's 142
5 foot,
pounds.
1
Yeah.
inch, and a full head of hair.
Yep. Growing nice and strong.
Yeah, I don't know why.
10
I don't know
fingers,
why.
10 toes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I guess it's an indication of like a maybe like a full term baby, like a healthy
Yeah.
baby, but like also it also seems like it'd be harmful to
Yeah.
parents whose babies maybe don't meet like typical ranges.
Baby dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually think there should be an end to the
Right?
importance of
I
baby
just feel like it
dimensions
doesn't
outside of a
matter.
medical setting.
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. I'm
Or
not a
if, like,
pediatrician.
extreme cases, you know, I want to know if your baby was like 1 pound.
Oh yeah, I want to know
That's
if your baby
incredible.
walked out of there ready to
Palm-sized
arm wrestle.
baby, yeah.
Yeah, taller than the doctor.
Yeah.
Please tell me. I feel like it's just something to say.
Yeah,
You know, there's
Yeah.
not much to say other than
because
like
you
labor was
can't
terrible.
speak about their personality yet.
yeah, yeah. It's not like
These
oh,
baby's a
great
bitch.
one-liners.
Yeah.
total
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like not much to say about a baby. It's
Yeah.
a little lump. So yeah, I guess
Yeah.
baby dimensions gives you something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really
yeah,
thought
she
about
takes
that.
it to a whole extreme, and I'm not ready for that.
No, because ultimately
So-
it doesn't really matter.
Like when my brother had his kids, she was just like, "What? How big?" She was like vibrating.
Need to
I was
know.
like, "Calm down." She wanted like,
Just like a
the
chart.
second my sister-in-law went into labor, she wanted like updates hourly. I was like, "Mom, we'll know." Like,
So I didn't tell anybody I was in labor.
yeah,
Mm.
that was their mistake.
Don't
You
tell
were-
anybody.
you were
That's
in
my
labor
best
for
advice.
so long.
Yeah, long time.
It like traumatized me.
Yeah,
Just
30
hearing
hours.
about it.
Can I ask how long?
30 hours of unmedicated labor
Jesus
before an
Christ.
emergency C-section at 1 a.m. Yeah.
Nightmare. What a nightmare.
And you know what? Maybe it's like the amnesia you get after you give birth, but like the labor wasn't like it wasn't as
That's
scary.
the power of oxytocin.
I was gonna
It
say.
tricks you into thinking.
Like it was painful, but it wasn't what I had always pictured labor to be in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, not to go off on a total labor and delivery tangent, but
That's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm.
But like in my mind, and maybe this was just me, but maybe you could share your experiences of what you've seen labor to be portrayed. But like it's like I always thought it was going to be like constant, inescapable pain
yeah.
for
Mhm.
until that baby came out.
Yeah.
It's like it's a wave. Like the
Mm.
pain gets bad when you contract, and then like you're fine, and you're just like chatting about like Game of Thrones, which is what my husband put on in the labor
Of
room,
course
he
my
did.
room, my hospital room. And yeah, it wasn't actually like my whole life I was afraid of pregnancy and having a baby because of the pain of it all
Yeah.
and the unknown of it all, of course, but like labor being scary because it was painful.
yeah.
And then I got there and I was like, okay, yes, it's painful and uncomfortable and I don't want to do it every single day. And I want to wait a while before I do it again.
Yeah.
But it wasn't as bad as I had made it out to be in my head.
I think
So
you're lying.
anybody who's afraid of
I
it,
think you're
a lie.
lying. I think it's a conspiracy.
It's all big
Don't listen
it
to her.
oxytocin.
It's a lie.
really, it
Yeah.
truly
Big
wasn't.
big
I'm
oxytocin.
not- I
Big
ain't shitting
oxytocin.
you. I ain't
Yeah.
shitting you. Yeah.
Propaganda from Big Baby.
As people who have never gone into labor before.
Yeah. But
we know better.
Yeah, we have been babies.
Yeah.
I got an IUD put in, and I will tell you, I'll never do that again.
Oh no, I've
That was
actually
a
heard that
nightmare.
that's worse.
Have you?
Yeah.
It was the worst. It was unbearably bad.
My first one was bad. My second one, I don't know what happened, but that lady was like a ninja.
You came here after.
I
You
know. I
recorded.
did like almost pass, and then I operated the next day, and I did almost pass out, and I had to tell my surgeon I was working with, I was like, I gotta sit down. He's like, are you okay? I was like,
It's nightmarish.
he's like, what's wrong? And I told him, and he was like, ew. The nurses are like, we understand. God bless the nurses. So
Yeah. Pain management
Yeah.
should be offered for IUDs.
It really, really should.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it's not. It hurts so much.
I've never gotten one. I don't know. But I feel like just based on anecdotal evidence, like that should be enough for pain management to be offered.
Right?
Yeah.
You would think so.
Mostly it's the to get to the cervix, and you gotta literally take a thing and clamp onto it so
Mhm.
you can shove up the thing.
Yeah.
And the clamp is like literally like piercing the cervix.
That's what it felt
and
like.
that is
just
the
what it felt like.
painful part.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and they go, you're gonna feel cramping, because it's not really. I don't know if it was like sharp for you, but
it was very sharp.
Was it? So the pain receptors like inside are a little bit dull. Like your fingers have like the most pain receptors, and then like internally you have less like defined pain receptors, if that makes sense. Like I can feel very specifically,
Mm.
but if I feel with the back of my hand, it's different. I don't feel as like
Fine motor touch.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotcha.
But everybody's different. But yeah, I don't know. The person who put in my second one, I should have wrote her a review on Yelp or something.
You should.
Ninja.
It's impressive.
Do you think it has anything to do with like where you are in the phase of your cycle?
Yes. So they
Good
say, and this was way back when, and I haven't done OB ever as like my full-time career, but you should plan it around your period, and you should get it actually while you're on your period, because the os of your cervix is a little bit open to allow that blood to come out.
A little bit more dilated?
A little dilated, yeah. So it's easier for the IUD to go in.
Oh,
Very interesting.
that is
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, the way I tossed around the word like cervix and everything, like in describing my birth story and telling my birth story, I remember my husband being like, do you really have to put on Facebook that Clara stuck her arm out your cervix and that's why you needed to have an emergency C-section? I was like, now that I'm on the other side of it, it doesn't seem like a weird thing to make public.
Yeah.
Like, it really doesn't.
Yeah. I
Like
think that's
so much about
fine.
pregnancy and labor and delivery. And he wasn't like criticizing me. He was just like, tell me about your decision
Yeah, is
to
that a
put
thing
that on the
people
internet. Like, do
will
people
want to know?
generally talk about that? Yeah. And being on the other side of it, like there is no shame and like nothing is off limits now, it feels like, just because you're poked and prodded and seen naked and seen in such just put in so many precarious situations.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, yeah, no, the internet can know that that's why I had an emergency C-section. She raised her hand and waving it around.
That's crazy.
She's like, get me out of here.
That's literally what it
Excuse
was.
me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ow.
We haven't even gotten to your
I was gonna
accomplishment.
say,
what's your
Is that
accomplishment?
you going to ask me what I've accomplished, or should we just move on? Kristen usually forgets to ask me.
Yeah,
so
I
thank
do
you.
forget.
Thank you, Kylie. Really appreciate it.
Grace,
Yes.
what did you accomplish?
I kind of scheduled this interview, and really it was you, Kylie, reaching out and being like, hey, so I can come on whenever. And I'm
Well,
like,
I
what
knew-
about this Friday?
Yeah, you did do it. You
Kind
you
of.
took it
I
to the
mean,
next level.
You took the initiative, and then I locked it down.
Well, that feels like an accomplishment for me too. I'm not
Yeah.
stealing your thunder, but like
When you
because-
talk about it, that really actually feels like more like I
that's
accomplished
really-
something.
No. I take that back. I didn't mean to phrase it that way.
No,
I mean
you're
that,
right.
Like getting out of my routine and like every day, like every Friday looks pretty much the same
Mhm.
for me. And like I have the same amount of quote unquote free time on Fridays, but I don't normally fill it with things that I don't normally do. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I do.
So to be like, no, okay, this Friday I'm comfortable, available, mentally there
yeah.
to like do this with you. So thank you for like choosing this Friday
Yeah.
and like not making it a nebulous thing in the future that we did.
I feel like that's what had to happen because we've
Yeah.
talked about this literally for years. It's not that I didn't want to have you on. It was that, like, I don't know, you're just so busy that it was hard for me mentally to like coordinate us and also try to lock you down. So I feel like it just worked out
You
perfectly.
did a good job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you
proud
for
of
making
myself.
it this week.
Yeah, right?
Because it would have still become the thing that like we talked about and like, you know,
Forever. Yeah, for the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we are. We're finally making it happen. And I couldn't be happier.
I'm happy too.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Good.
We're
It's
all
exciting.
happy. We're all having fun. All right. Now that hoo-ha's out of the way, should we get into kind of the meat of this episode?
Yeah.
Which is like, tell us what your deal is and like what's going on up there mentally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we've...
You want to like lead me into it, or you
No,
just want me
just
to
like,
start like
just
dumping?
go. What's wrong with you? No, I feel like you and I, obviously, we've always kind of talked about this type of stuff in some way or another, psychology and whatnot. We've both always been interested in it. But I feel like for the last few years, obviously, I've been on this like ADHD obsession and then autism obsession. You were always kind of my opposite end of the spectrum example for me in terms of ADHD, of like, this is totally the opposite of how Kylie would go about this and function, to the point where it's like clinical on my side of like, wow, I'm so disorganized that it's like next level. But I feel like you were very helpful in giving me an example of like what it looks like to be able to be organized and like get your shit together. So I guess my first question is just like, how has being friends with me and seeing me going through this ADHD discovery opened your eyes up to your own brain and how things work? Because I feel like we have such contrasting ways of going about, like comically so, where we could be like an odd, you know, the fairly odd couple type stuff.
Well, seeing you go through it and you too, Kristen, knowing that as an adult, a grown-up who isn't like having a pediatrician dissect their brain as a 7-year-old, like it's okay and actually encouraged to discover things about yourself and your brain and how things work up there later in life. And I love that you guys have started this podcast to talk about that, because I think it's very freeing for women who like, or any person who has felt rigid in their understanding of who they are, or maybe haven't been given the opportunity to explore it. So you have always been like a big part of our chat thread, which, by the way, if anything ever happens to me, like we're deleting that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's on my list. Don't worry. Go on. I will clear it. Yeah.
A big part of that thread is me saying like, hey, so here's a thing that I do or that my brain does. What do we like? What's your take?
Yeah. What is this?
what do you think this is?
Why do you think that happens?
Why did I do that?
Yeah. It's a lot of those. Yeah.
So like seeing you discover those things about yourself and like finding not a label, but just words to help you understand your brain a little bit better and allow you to like dig deeper into it has been really freeing for me, for somebody who like, I don't know, I guess my quirks
Yes.
have always just been quirks, or at least growing up, they were just quirks. And like now it's like, okay, well, but what is it really?
Yeah.
Now it's diagnostic.
deeper.
Yeah. What can we do to work with those
Yeah.
quirks a little bit better?
Yeah. Because I feel like your thing was always like anxiety, and it's like anything was just kind of like lumped under anxiety.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah. That was my first and I guess only diagnosis was a generalized anxiety disorder.
Which drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Because that should be, I'll rein it in, but it should be a diagnosis of exclusion, which means it's the last thing before you rule anything out. But the trend currently is just to like willy-nilly diagnose people with generalized anxiety disorder.
Yeah.
When usually it's like just a symptom of a bigger
Right.
cause.
There's usually a bigger cause. Like, why are they having anxiety? There's usually a cause for it, whether it's neurodivergence or a bereavement or a change, major social change or something.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, like, to that, I do think now that I will continue to benefit from understanding the like my little branches off of anxiety, or like what's feeding into anxiety. But even just getting that diagnosis, it was probably 8 or 9 years ago now. Even just having that word was like, oh, okay. And it's like, I'm not typical. Like other people don't face these same scenarios with the same response. Like they don't feel like this when something happens. So it was like permission to be like, okay, no, I am different. I am a little bit like there is something that I can learn to like cope with or learn strategies around to like not feel this way all the time. So even just having that like general term was more than I had ever had as a child and like through high school.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good like gateway term.
Yeah, gateway drug.
Yeah,
to understanding my brain.
Generalized anxiety.
That's what I mean to say.
Yeah. I feel like that always comes in stages where it's like you discover something, you're like, okay, this is it. This explains what I'm going through. And that's like your experience for the next few years. And then you get to the next one, you're like, it seems like there's something else there. And then you like, okay, now I think it's also this, and so on and so forth.
Go a layer deeper.
Yeah.
What's there?
But it takes time, you know? You can't just like expect someone to tackle it all at once because this stuff is kind of hard to acknowledge about yourself. Like with the autism thing, you know, where I thought the ADHD described me for years, and then I was like, feels like there's something else. But I like for years I was like, no, that's not me. Like I can't take on that identity. That's other people. And so it is hard to kind of like come to terms with that. But ultimately it's very helpful to have this language to describe your experience.
I'm curious, and I'm a little out of the loop with WOF things, but have you talked to like care providers or practitioners about your suspicions of autism? Like, do you have a diagnosis? Is that important to you?
I don't have a diagnosis, and neither does Kristen.
No.
I don't think it's personally important for me just because there's so many barriers and problems with getting that official autism diagnosis specifically for like girls and femme presenting people. And I don't know if I would, because mine is very heavily masked. And I think that's what we see a lot with girls and women and femme presenting people is like that autism looks extremely different from that stereotypical boy who loves trains. And so like most people, even when they do have autism, aren't going to be diagnosed by most professionals, especially because of that masking component. I feel like it's so hard to turn it off and like let a specialist like see you and your traits. And you're like, no, trust me, I know they're in here, but like that mask automatically comes. I can't turn it off. I can't just stop performing for you like a seal, you know? So I went through all the assessments. I've been learning and reading about it. And I even have my master's degree in communication sciences and disorders. So I've learned about autism very heavily for the last 10 or so years. But I totally understand like people wanting that official diagnosis. I like get, first of all, there's not really that many, but there are a few services you can get if you need them for autism. But I think people really like having that validation of the diagnosis. So I don't think there's anything wrong with getting it necessarily. But yeah, I think it's enough kind of discuss it in those terms. And I think self-diagnosis is valid as long as you're learning about it thoroughly because, you know, who's a better expert about you than you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that like coming from a clinician standpoint, like American medicine right now is very like problem focused. Like here's the problem, here's the treatment, here's the problem, here's the treatment. I don't really see the autism as, it's problematic sometimes, but I think other times it's beneficial. Like I'm a big rule follower and medicine's full of rules and algorithms. So it's nice to have like, well, here's the rule to treat this. Like, this is what we do. This is the rule. So I think it helps me in medicine a lot. I think it's nice to have something I can like look and say, look, this is why this is happening in my brain. But at the same time, I feel like I don't see like the point of going to, what's the benefit for me to tell like a provider, like, I feel like I have autism. Like, what are they going to do about it? There's no pills I can take to make my social skills better, you know.
I wish.
Can
you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. So I feel like I guess for me, in my brain, it's like, at least for me, and I understand the benefit other people will have from getting in the validation that it will, but I'm like, for me, I'm like, there's nothing they're going to do about it. So why even bother bringing it up? If I have like a 15-minute appointment with my primary care, we're going to be talking about other things other than and autism.
And they're going to say, no, you're not autistic.
Yeah, they're going to say, no, you're well adjusted.
No, that's just
you
trendy.
have no idea.
Yeah, that's just a social media trend.
Yeah,
which I think people are facing a lot, unfortunately, because providers seem to think it's just like something quirky and fun that everyone wants to have. It's like, no, people who aren't autistic don't wonder for years and years if they're autistic, you know?
Yeah.
They just like don't think about it. So it's not exactly a fun cool label to have. It's
I
not
don't
like
think ADHD
ooh.
is a fun, cool label
I think
to
it's
have.
more
it's like
fun.
detrimental.
I think it's more fun than autism. Like ADHD can sound like, oh, quirky,
it's
you know,
got better
space
press
cadet.
coverage
Yes.
than autism.
Whereas-
Because autism's like, oh, ooh.
Ooh, yeah,
ADHD is like,
sorry.
oh, they're fun.
Exactly.
But it's like, it's not fun.
I think people like really minimize what ADHD is and how disabling it is,
Mhm.
and then they really like overestimate how, I mean, autism can be extremely disabling, but I think it just has like such a big stigma socially that it's not like, oh yeah, like when you say autism to people outside of like online or podcast spaces, I know I get weird looks of people like I know people are like, no, you're not in their heads, because it's just that language still isn't there in like the public zeitgeist of truly like what high masking autism looks like, which can present like just a fuckload of anxiety, all these little things that you have to do to like plan your day and plan what you're going to say and plan your social interactions. And then
And then you think about them later at night being like, was that the right thing?
I was
I
so
did
stupid.
not follow the plan.
I can't believe I said that. What's wrong with me? Everyone's thinking about it. Yeah. So if you're comfortable kind of diving in there, I don't know how much you want to talk about like what you've been exploring with yourself and what you've been like thinking about with yourself in terms of your challenges and strengths and the way you go about life.
Yeah, after I gave birth to my daughter, so we're going to get dark for a second, but we're going to get bright again.
Please.
Okay.
So 2 really major things happened to me in the same 3-week period. I gave birth to my daughter. And I want to say too, if you're not in a position to hear about traumatic birth stories or about parent loss, like maybe just skip the next couple of minutes, because I knew that I wasn't in a place for a while to talk about it. So there's your warning. I gave birth to my daughter, very traumatic birth. 3 weeks later, my mom died of cancer.
God.
And like we knew that she was going to die. I think we never said it out loud, but we knew that she was terminal. And so I go into the most dramatic hormone shift a human experiences after giving birth to experiencing the worst loss I can imagine that I thought about my entire life. Like as a kid, I think I was obsessed with losing my mom. Like it was such a big fear. And I think I thought about it more than other kids did. Like what's going to happen if my mom died? And then it happened. Like my worst fear came true. And I don't think there's a good time to lose your mom, but 3 weeks postpartum, definitely a bad one.
One of the worst.
One
I
of
would
the
say.
worst. And so I got into survival mode, like more than I ever had in my life, because I was struggling with grief, losing my mom, but had no choice but to wake up every 2 hours in the night to breastfeed a child. And so in so many ways, Clara helped me through that because I had something to focus on and she needed me. And like that gave me so much purpose and like reason to get out of bed when it really, really sucked. And I had great support around me. Like my husband made sure I was fed and hydrated and all of that. But it was such survival mode that like the way my brain used to work and how I wished it worked while I was in that dark period was being able to manage some really like high need tasks all at once. But I couldn't because I was just like so deep in my grief, and it was such a dark time when I think other experiences I've heard about, like the newborn phase, like, yeah, you're tired, but like how lovely, like you have this beautiful child. And it was just so dark. And so I switched into, okay, the baby's crying, the baby needs to eat. Right now, the baby's eating. Now the baby's sleeping. Now I'm going to go to sleep. And it was like so sequential. And it felt like when I started to stand on my own 2 feet again and like deal like really with grief, it's just time. Like that's the only thing that makes it more easy to manage. And so as I'm like coming out of this darkness and I'm starting to recover a little bit from the loss of my mom, I felt like my brain was out of practice from doing things the way I used to do them. Like those executive functioning skills where like I could manage and plan and just kind of get everything done.
Yeah, you had the best executive functioning skills I've like ever seen in any human.
I was so good at it.
Yes, like freakishly good. Which is why you were always my model of like, nope, something's wrong with me because I'm not anywhere. I can't even fathom how Kylie does that. I literally don't know how you do it.
And I really don't know what triggered it, but it's my suspicion now thinking about it a lot was these like two catastrophic things that happened in my life at the same time, like hormone shifts. And like truly so I breastfed for 15 and a half months, which is a pretty long time. And like the hormones that go through your body to make you lactate, like they change your brain a little bit. And like when you're pregnant, the gray matter changes in your brain. And so like your brain literally shrinks. And so all these things are happening at once. And so I'm getting back to like life, and Claire's a little bit more like, you know, you can set her down for longer periods of time. She's not just a potato. She doesn't need to eat every 90 minutes. I was like trying to feel like myself again, and like just doing basic tasks around the house, like tidying up, felt so hard. And I've talked to you about this. It became, and there's so many creators who have made like TikToks that exemplify this so perfectly, but it's like I would walk into a room and like her toy would be on the ground. And I'd pick up the toy and I'd put that away. But when I'm in the cabinet, I see that there's a ton of toys there that she doesn't play with anymore. So I go to the kitchen to grab a bag to like start a donation bag. But when I'm in there, I realize that the garbage is actually overflowing. So I go to take the trash out, but I go into the garage and like, oh, I haven't broken down any of the cardboard. And then I can hear the baby crying on the monitor and her nap's over. And I haven't done any of the things.
You give him a muffin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute, this has never been a problem for me. And I don't know if it was like my time collapsing, because you really do. Oh my God, the way I used to gaslight people who had kids who were like, oh, I don't have any time. Like, oh,
we all have the same 24 hours.
Like the way, like maybe not out loud, but like that was always in my head. Like, yeah, you have time. You just aren't making time. Like, what an asshole. Like, like you really don't have, like, you kids take all of your time.
I literally can't imagine.
And so I was so frustrated. And that's one of the things I was texting you about. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, you text me. I'm like, isn't that how things normally go? You're just describing my normal day.
Like, why? Like, I'm putting her to bed at night and I'm going downstairs and I just want to like reset the house, do closing shift, like clean up the kitchen and clean up the toys. But like 30 minutes will go by and none of it's been done because I'm just like bouncing between shit. And it's like frustrating and exhausting. I'm like, why did my brain do that? And I was like, oh, I'm just out of practice because I haven't done it in a while, because I was so like, I just turned into like sequence, like, but yeah, I am happy to say now. And like, I noticed a shift in my brain after I stopped breastfeeding. So maybe it's like a hormone thing associated with it there, but also like finding ways to like make that, give a moose a muffin, a mouse a muffin.
Give a moose a muffin. Give a mouse a cookie.
Give a mouse a cookie.
And then there's another, there's like
main
a sequel.
version.
The main version is if you give a moose a muffin.
Yeah. So I've been like finding ways to, I don't know if it's like reteaching myself executive function.
What are you
Can
doing?
you teach us?
Yeah.
Can we learn together?
Strategies?
Yeah.
Well, like you lost them and then regain them, and I've just never,
This
in the
is
meantime,
just a
never
day-
gained them.
Yeah.
Maybe this is so simplistic, but what has helped me specifically with the tidying up at the end of the day. So like toddlers, they make a mess. Like they'll
Oh my
dump
God.
shit out
Constantly.
everywhere. There's always, and it's like, we were just here and it was clean.
Yep.
So I have started, and the thing that really gets to me is like, but at the end of the day, there will be 15 random objects that all belong in a different part of the house. And I used to, maybe a year ago when I was really struggling with this, is like I would pick up one object and bring it to its place. And then I'd pick up the other object and bring it to its place.
Yeah.
But now what's worked for me is I will make a pile of all the objects and then I'll take all the objects with me as I like in sequence put them away.
Deliver them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that as a strategy that like sounds really good and I should do it, and then I don't, because I'm in the moment. I'm like, well, I could just do this now.
I'm just gonna put this in the kitchen really quickly.
It'll take 2 seconds.
And
Yeah,
you're like reorganizing your Tupperware.
yeah, exactly. It's too easy to get distracted.
And I've also gotten good, and I think this is a holdover from like therapy a long time ago with my generalized anxiety disorder, is like putting the stop sign up in your head. Like it seems silly, but like really visualizing a stop sign when I get into that mode where I've opened the cabinet and I see all the toys and I should be donating some of these toys because she doesn't play with them anymore. I will put a stop sign up and like, I'm here to put this dump truck away and like to fuck with the other. Like we'll deal with the toys at another point.
Yeah.
Like right now, priority is tidy up so you can go sit down and read your book, which is what always recharges you at the end of the day. That's me talking to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been like making the pile, putting the things away all together, or like caring less about the messes.
I think that's part of it too, is you can't
can't
care
can't
too
clean
much.
them all.
Yeah, it can't be
You know,
perfect.
and she's gonna make the same messes. Like
Yeah.
we said, I think Kylie of 5 years ago would have really struggled knowing that I went to bed and the tea party set was still on the coffee table. But like I left the tea party set out for like the entire week and nothing bad
Wow.
happened.
Wow, really?
Nothing bad happened.
Oh my God.
And she
House
played
didn't
with
burn
it every single day, and we didn't
Yeah.
have to put it away and take it out. Like,
Yeah. That is
Nothing
very
bad happened.
impressive for you because
you.
yeah, I never could have imagined that you could get to that place.
thanks. Yeah, it's a lot of like that's none of my business kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even that's a great phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. None of my business.
Literally none of my business.
Even though it's in your home. None of my business.
Yeah. So big shifts in my life happened all at once
Yeah.
that I think probably changed something permanently in me, emotionally, physically, mentally, all of it.
For sure.
And now relearning some things that used to come easy to me.
Before, would you just you would just do them?
I would just
Like you would just
I would
do
just
'em?
do it. I
You
would
did-
just organize, and I wouldn't get the like distraction effect.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just that it was less frustrating to me because there wasn't this
could do
added
it.
pressure of I only who knows how long she's going to nap for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like there was at the beginning when we were like trying to figure out her sleep because like teaching a child how to sleep,
Mm.
you don't realize you have to teach them how
Yeah.
to sleep effectively. There was a lot of like franticness because
Mm.
like the sleep is when you get to be fully yourself and do whatever you want to do until you're needed again to, tend to somebody else's needs. And so she would close her eyes and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
where do I put all my energy?
Yeah.
And I do think in talking to other parents, that's a very relatable thing, like common thing to feel. But I got so frustrated with myself that I couldn't do what I used to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you because before, like, you were functioning at like 200% and like way beyond normal humans.
I look back at what I was able to accomplish, like such an overachiever in high school, especially, like still had it in college, but I don't think there was many like avenues to overachieve in college. I don't know. I was like,
Yeah, there's only so much.
and in college, you weren't like, all my classes, I feel like were so big. So I wasn't like trying to specifically impress a teacher, which was a big motivator for me in high school.
I can see that for sure.
Yeah. So I think back at like the level at which I was performing in college is like, was it because I had enough time to do it or was I better at doing it?
Yeah. I think it was probably a combination,
Yeah.
right? What were you like in school? Were you like a wicked teacher's pet?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. And if you like, I don't think I considered myself a popular person because of the activities I did. I don't think I wasn't an athlete.
Theater was really cool. I don't know what you're talking about.
I was
Sharpay in the High School Musical.
See, that was cool.
That was very
like
cool. Peak.
Kylie
cool.
was,
Yeah.
I was 17 years old. I performed in the Community Little Theater was it Community Little Theater? Yeah. In Auburn. Played Sharpay Evans in the main premiere of High School Musical on stage. Like still riding that high.
I know you are, as you should.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was a high achieving, like, brought for like, I don't remember why my parents brought me to this. It was like some sort of business in the mall or where Panera Bread is in Portland.
Ah, yes.
There was at the time some sort of testing center and I had like this test that was all like geometric shapes and I don't know what they were testing me for.
Yeah, what were
But
they
I scored
evaluating?
high. All right. I don't know. I wish I could ask my mom what that was all about.
I know.
But
now I'm very curious.
Yeah, no, I was like a really high achieving kid. Like I was like in all the like honors reading classes and like was pulled out for like the really smart science kid class in elementary school or whatever it was. But I was like really driven by accolade and I wanted to impress teachers and like get that pat on the back from my parents. Like I was very, all of my motivation was very external. And so that's what led me to like become super organized because being super organized let me achieve at a high level. And it was impressive to be like, oh, look at my grades. I was like really obsessed with being impressive. And I don't know if that's a universal feeling. Like, it seems like it would be for like people to want to impress other people, but
No,
like,
I didn't care. Well, when it came to
I
adults,
understand
when it came
that.
to adults, at least I was never like, oh, can't wait for the teacher to see how good I am. I'm like, fuck them. You know?
yeah, can't relate. I like really wanted like a teacher's pet through and through.
Yeah. So like the pressure kind of motivated and inspired you
Yeah.
and like got you to like step up your game. Whereas I feel like for me, it did the opposite, where I was really resentful of that pressure because I didn't feel like I could live up to it.
Mm.
So I'm glad it like fueled you and motivated you.
Yeah, but it created like false high stakes in my head too. Like it felt like there was further to fall if I didn't achieve at those levels. I remember I didn't get into AP bio, or it was National Honor Society or some like weird high school level fraternity, you know?
Mm.
And it's because I didn't submit my application on time. And that was the only thing that kept me out of it. And
Wow.
it was so devastating for me.
Bet.
Now I'm like, has anyone ever asked someone if they're in National Honor Society as a grown adult?
Yeah.
Like, it did not impact my ability to achieve everything that I've wanted to achieve so far,
Yeah.
professionally, personally.
Yeah.
But like, it felt so high stakes in high school
Yeah.
to like not be in National Honor Society.
Huge deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
I was in National Honor Society.
Oh, tell me about it.
I don't understand what happened. I think we just like went to meetings and everybody was like, congrats. And then you just put it on your...
It was just like a thing to put
It was
on your
a
college application.
application. That's all it was. I don't think we did... I think there was just like a once a month meeting. It was garbage.
Yeah. See,
You're better
like,
off.
but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
You
it
didn't miss
felt
anything.
So
I was just like,
devastating.
oh, I gotta go
Yeah.
to this other thing. Great.
Well, yeah, I think when you put all of your like self-worth, like you said, make
Yeah.
it extrinsic and have those people-pleasing tendencies, it's very make it or break it, because you feel like you're failing everyone, although those are kind of like not made up expectations because someone put those on you at some point, but then you like
Yeah.
really internalize them of like, okay, I need to perform. Everyone's watching me all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, like, reflecting on that as a parent and like how I want my daughter to feel moving through school. And I know that if I had come home with a B versus an A, my parents would not have punished me.
No, it's not like,
Like,
you
they
have
would
super
not
strict
have
parents
loved
at
me
all.
less.
No.
You know, the world would have kept on turning.
Mm.
And so I know that the pressure wasn't from my parents. And so
Yeah.
I want to mirror my parents in that way. Like, they were always proud of me, but they never expected me to do that.
Mm.
And, you know, looking at Claire now, I'm like, I really hope that you don't, like, I want you to be proud of the things that you do for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want you to perform
Yeah.
for me, for anyone.
Yeah, that performance can be so detrimental. You become like your own little judge in your head, always watching.
Yeah,
Yeah, stressful.
it is.
I just want to touch a little bit on the autism stuff if you're comfortable before we kind of wrap this part one
Yeah.
down. I know that we've kind of talked about maybe you have some of these traits that go
You want to diagnose
beyond
me so
badly. I'm trying to be so PC right now. I've been holding it in for years. So
Yeah, I know. I will say what I've always said. I'm very open to learning about my brain. Like, there is no stigma attached to the word autism for me. There's a lot. So I've been thinking about it like this. You know how when you walk into Pat's Pizza or whatever,
yes.
and they have their signature pizzas, and they have perfectly crafted a recipe that they know you're going to love, and it has like 15 things on it, and you can order it and it's got a special name. I'm the kind of person who will walk into Pat's Pizza and I'm like, I can build a better pizza.
Yeah, I know better than that.
Like, I'm going to pick from this list and I'm going to assemble the ultimate pizza that's going to make sense
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
And so, although like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth though, because having the generalized anxiety disorder label did help me. I feel like now I'm not sure if I need an additional specific word, but I would like to understand my brain from like what can I do to help the things that have felt detrimental, specifically in like social settings and stuff. Like, what can I do to make them not so scary? Like, can I not enter flight or fight when I have to make a basic phone call? Like, that would be cool.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. And, you know, my little brother is autistic, Liam, and that's been a real learning journey for our entire family. He's almost 7. and absolutely thriving in a school setting. And like,
Yay.
it's been really interesting for my dad, who is raising him. He's not with Liam's mother. And so he's raising him as like a single parent. You know, they share custody and everything. But my dad is way more hands-on with the raising of my little brother than he was with my 3 siblings. And for him, being old school, being in his 60s, to learn about autism through Liam's eyes has been just really cool, honestly, for our whole family to like understand Liam together.
Yeah.
And so, there's obviously been traits where you're like, Kylie.
Makes me wonder, maybe it's genetic.
But also, like, tell me about, and are we doing segments in this episode or is there a separate episode?
We'll do it. It's part 2. We'll do like
2.
the segments.
Okay.
But
Because I was thinking about like, the topic of OCD has come
I
up.
was just about, my God, I was just like, I was trying to be quiet about it, but
Kristen
I'm
wants
like,
to diagnose you with OCD.
I
want to diagnose you with
I
autism.
thought about OCD as well, because just some of the things that what I have noticed from this discussion is in the past, like the T set it's a very like, not that I'm an expert on OCD, and we haven't even done an episode on OCD, but it seems like almost like a fixation, and you've kind of almost attached like a morality to like the T set. If I don't put a T set away, I'm a bad person or something bad's going to happen. And that's not that I'm an expert, but that seems very OCD to have these fixations and attached moralities to tasks, whether you do or do not do them.
Yeah, and the more I learn about OCD, like actual OCD, and not like, oh my God, I'm so OCD.
I'm so clean.
Yeah,
I'm so
yeah.
OCD.
No, I'm suggesting that maybe you have like legit OCD.
Yeah, no. The more I learn
Clinical
about
levels,
it,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can sift through like some habits and traits that I have that feel like they could be evidence of OCD. Like one thing that I do every time a plane takes off, I have to repeat my daughter's name, my husband's name, both of my dog's names in order.
Yeah, that's OCD.
until we
This
reach
is
cruising altitude,
DSM-5
or the
level
whole
stuff.
time,
Yeah.
or else the plane's gonna crash.
Oh my gosh.
Which I know isn't true,
yeah.
but I've never not done it,
And you've never crashed.
and I've never
So,
crashed.
There's your proof.
And
Sounds like you've saved us from a couple of plane
well,
crashes.
thank God you do that.
in
Yeah.
this era, like,
Yeah.
should I stop?
I don't think so. I think
I think you should just
And
keep
like
going.
I always
For all our
like I
sakes.
tap my ring, and so. But before I like said that out loud to somebody, I think I maybe told you that, or we were talking about OCD, and I was like, well, here's the thing that I do. What do you make of that? I was like, oh, that's not normal for like to have a ritual that you think prevents a terrible outcome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like those illogical consequences.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's like the missing piece that a lot of people have about OCD. It's like, it's not just like, oh, I'm like, it's normal to be anxious about plane crashes as you're taking off. Of course, like most people are going to be thinking of the potential,
Yeah.
but it's that like having this ritual that must be done in order to like cause this thing to not happen when there's no type of connection.
Yeah, there's no correlate at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's just like one of my little quirks that I was like, okay, saying this out loud, I see what you mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't everybody?
Yeah, I'm like, what do you do when a plane takes off to make sure it doesn't crash?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why OCD is so hard to identify is because it's so internal. If you
Mhm.
don't have like germ-based OCD,
Yeah.
it's a lot of just thoughts and those intrusive thoughts that you're like, well, I could never tell anyone that I had that thought because that's really scary and crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah. Or like the rituals, you're like, can't say that out loud. That sounds nuts. But and so I think OCD is just so internal for so many people that
Yeah.
you don't even realize people have it, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think it's fascinating with OCD because most people understand like this is illogical, and I understand that like as I'm doing this ritual, I understand they can talk about doing the rituals and they understand that like it doesn't make sense, but they're still gonna do it,
Yeah.
because they have to.
Yeah, that's very much a realization
Mhm.
I've had.
Mm.
It's like, okay, I'm doing something. I know it doesn't make sense. If I say it out loud, it sounds strange, but I don't stop.
Mm.
And like, I have a flight next week. I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do it.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it,
Yeah.
especially now.
Yeah,
You
I think
have
you should.
to.
Jesus.
Yeah.
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 Rolls on your
If it
shoulders.
goes down, we'll know why.
Yeah. Like
Kylie
Kylie,
wasn't
she
saying
said her
she
name's
didn't
out of
do it.
order.
She didn't do
Yep,
the thing.
Yep, that's why, out of order. Yeah, God knew. Yeah. Yeah, do you find it to be like detrimental ever to you, where it's like something that really impacts you, or is it like a manageable thing?
It's manageable, and it's like when I'm at my best.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not, when I'm really in, I'm trying to think of like other things so like when I'm giving away all my quirks for my segments, but like I filled up my car with gas the other day, and I got in my car and I have the same thought every single time I fill up my car with gas. I'm like, okay, now, thankfully, if there's some sort of major natural disaster or like terrorist attack or something that requires me to drive a far distance, I've got a full tank of gas.
Thank God.
Thank God, cross that off the list.
Yep.
And that's my thought every single time I get in the car after filling my car. And I don't know if other people think about that.
I certainly don't.
We'll take a poll.
Yeah, we'll take a poll on it.
To find
Is this
out what you
normal?
think about after you fill your gas tank.
Terrorism?
Like, is that something?
Yeah.
Is that anxiety? Is that like, I don't know. But like, those are little things that my brain does.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that.
So is it detrimental? No. Like, I could still make the argument to myself that it's actually helpful.
Right? And that in itself is the OCD. Because you're actually helping. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm prepared.
Yeah. You're ready. Nice and normal. Well,
guys.
I don't know why you came on this podcast. You're super normal.
I don't know. I am not in your target audience.
No, nothing to share. Nope. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I myself am like so confused about like what's anxiety, what's OCD, what's autism. Like I'm so fascinated by like autism versus OCD because I can totally see how autism like begins to look like OCD. And like, is it OCD? Are they two separate things? Are they comorbid? Like, I'm just not sure. But I feel like it's so anxiety based and then you get stuck on it. There's this thing called logic loops with autism where your brain literally like cannot stop processing this thing over and over and over until you've solved it. So it's like why we get so stuck on me and Kristen, not you. Because I'm not
definitely
diagnosing,
not me.
definitely not you. But it's like your brain like cannot move on from this thing until you've like solved it, which is why we just like play conversations or problems over and over and over and over. And it's like, obviously, that could totally lead to like OCD type anxieties and behaviors. Or is it just like its own pure OCD thing,
Yeah, I don't know. It's a build your own pizza.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know how to do it best. Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. All right. So we'll have to wrap this part down soon. But before then, did you want me to tell you a few of the things I've noticed about you?
Yeah.
Or just that I've thought
Tell
about
me.
you?
And I'm just going to receive them and try not to comment.
Okay.
Okay. This will be fun.
A lot of it is just to do with like your socialization, not like your actual performance, but what I know goes into the performance. I've always been very aware of that you, like, even when we were friends in college, you've always been like a very one-on-one friend where you and I have always enjoyed hanging out one-on-one. But bringing you to a bigger group of people, I know has always made you extremely self-conscious and anxious. And like you're super, super scripting, planning these things out. But then when I see you in action, if I didn't know the behind the scenes, I'd be like, oh my gosh, Kylie is so confident and comfortable, when really I know just how much work has gone into that performance. So I feel like, yes.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that for me was the big, when I started learning about like what like highly masked autism looks like in girls and women, I'm like, that sounds familiar. And it's really like the scripting. And I was always taking that very literally of like, well, I'm not like writing out conversations before socializing, but it's all those things you described of like looking it up on like Google Maps and seeing what the location looks like and where do I park and where's the front door. And I have to map out exactly what time to get there. And these are the things I'll talk about. Like all of those, like that is autistic scripting, even though it's not like
it's not just being prepared.
Yeah, it's not just like being prepared.
Interesting.
Believe it or not, that's like not a normal level of being prepared.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a big one for me. And then like I feel like you are very rigid about how you want things done, but you act like you're not. You want to. That's not true. You want it to seem like I'm just cool girl, go with the flow. But really, behind the scenes, it's very, very highly structured.
Do you have any examples?
No, I'm not thinking of anything specifically.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about you as a person,
I feel like I have become a little bit more vocal about how rigid I am, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Like
see that.
I'm fine with admitting like I'm not the cool go with the flow girl. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to do. I think it used to be a lot like impressing in social circles too. I said I wasn't going to comment on any of these.
No,
but
I want
like,
you to comment.
I used to be like very concerned with like being the cool girl that was up for anything, would do anything.
Yes.
And now I'm just like, nah, I want to stay home and read my book. Like I don't care, you go.
Yeah.
Like, and it was a FOMO thing.
Yeah.
Maybe like for a while, at least I told myself I want to go because I don't want to miss out. Now I'm like, ugh, I could not wait to miss out on
Yes,
that.
please let me miss out. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I'm becoming a
miss
little
out.
more vocal about how rigid I am in the things the way I want things done. And
Which
what
I think
want
is
to do.
important to be able to acknowledge that about yourself, because I'm the same way, where I always wanted to be that, and I felt like I was that more than I actually am. I was like, yeah, I'm super laid back. Who cares? But then, like, no, I really, really care.
Yeah, this is not fun.
I care so much.
I remember a very specific instance in high school where like a group of friends wanted to go skinny dipping at night. And in my head, I'm like, that's dangerous. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want these people. Like, I don't want to be around these people naked.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing where like, you get undressed in the dark. No one's going to see you. Just do it. And
They're going to see it.
Moonlight.
First of all, there's moonlight.
I let them all run ahead and I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot something. And I ran back into the house where we were and I didn't do it. And I was like, fuck, they're going to think I'm not cool.
Yeah.
But like, I said yes in the moment because I feel like everyone else was going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But I knew I didn't want to.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a painful thing.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to give in to this social pressure of something you like really don't want to do.
Yeah.
Also, is anybody like why skinny dipping?
Yeah.
I've never understood
It's
it.
for high
understood,
school
like-
fucking horny boys to see naked people.
I just-
Yeah.
Is any girl like, yeah, I love swimming naked? Like, aren't you worried about like,
Things swimming up in there.
yeah,
Yeah,
things
like,
swimming close to
getting in there.
you and like
My big fear
cold.
was somebody diving into the water and hitting their head and becoming unconscious. Like that was my bigger, like more than the nakedness.
Such a mom.
And then they're gonna
Everyone
see
be
me dead and
responsible.
naked.
Yeah. And that's embarrassing.
And that's embarrassing.
Being dead and
They're
naked.
doing like CPR
Oh my God,
and
can
it's
you imagine?
naked.
That's so
imagine?
embarrassing.
Mm.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. Okay, I'll
Yeah.
stop with my commentary.
No, I would love your commentary. It's those things and just, your general, like, I think you have maybe that hyper empathy that is kind of the opposite of how we normally think about autism. Because I feel like the stereotype is like, you don't have any empathy at all, which is, first of all, like ableism. But also on the other end of it, I think a lot of autistic people have that hyper empathy where it's like too much to the point where sometimes it's like paralyzing because you don't want to do anything that will hurt or upset anyone. And it's
Are you
like,
thinking of we're all here for the same reasons?
I wasn't, but that is a really good example. Yeah, we were all there for the same reasons. Do you want to tell that story?
Yeah. Went to a lot of general admission concerts where
Yeah.
there's just a pushing, pulling to get up to the front row for what? For what? So
For
the lead
what?
singer can fall in love with you?
Honestly, we used to love that stuff.
Literally,
Now I
why?
can't imagine.
And we were together at a show. Was it Andrew McMahon?
Yeah.
And we decided to push our way to the front. I will say that there are some perks to enjoying a show of your favorite artist in the front row. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't want to discount that at all. But as we were like pushing through, I was like turning to everybody who was clearly upset with us, saying like, "We're all here for the same reason. No, it's fine. Like we're just
You're
really like my brother's
piece
up
in the
there,
piece.
and like
Piece in the piece.
and yeah, I didn't want anyone to be upset with me. These are strangers.
Yeah.
Like everyone was pushing and pulling and trying to get to the front.
Yeah,
but I
that's
was like, no,
a concert.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Everyone
be happy.
I'm a really nice person.
Yeah. You were like our PR.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Handing out
that's-
little gift
Grace is
bags.
like
I'm
throwing
sorry.
elbows, being like, "Get out!"
Yeah. Well, the person leading us through didn't give a shit,
No.
and she was just plowing
Who was
straight
that?
ahead. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Tell you later.
But yeah, then there's Kylie like following it up, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We're all here for the same reasons."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty like textbook me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were like early 20s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The over empathy, not over, because I don't think there's anything wrong with it, except when it does like affect your ability to do things because you're so worried about hurting other people. Like that can be paralyzing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like your general level of like responsibility, preparedness, intelligence. Yeah. That hyper empathy. I mean, you just kind of do have that Sharpay energy
Thank you.
without like the bitchy sides of
Yeah.
it. But you do. And I think, you know, like Elle Woods from Legally Blonde is canonically autistic. And people would never, I'm sure plenty of people will still get mad about that. No, she's not. But like she does have a lot of autistic
People getting mad about a
traits,
fictional character.
right? Isn't that so crazy?
Mm.
If the character is like written to be autistic, they're going to be like little boy who loves trains, like so on the nose stereotypical. If you don't explicitly say a character's autistic, now no one's allowed to talk about how they might be autistic because no, they didn't say that. So it's like this annoying thing where you can't discuss like good representation of women who are autistic characters. But like Elle Woods is, when you actually like look at her traits, is kind of a classically high masking autistic woman. She's high performing. Her special interest is like femininity and pink. And I think that's a big thing that people miss with autism in girls, is that your special interest isn't necessarily going to be like dinosaurs or whatever, but it might be like your special interest alone might be masking or presenting as feminine or makeup or how you dress or whatever. But yeah, I think I've always just kind of thought of you as like an Elle Woods type. So I think you have like maybe Elle Woods autism.
If I could still sing the way I could sing in high school, like my dream role in musical theater is to play Elle Woods in the musical of Legally Blonde, the musical.
Of course. I see it. I still think it could happen. You do have a great voice.
We'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
Well, they
Auburn
just
Theater
did
is
it in
still
Portland.
open.
And so I was like,
Let's
I
go to
should have
Lewiston.
auditioned.
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
You could do your own production. One woman play. You play all the characters.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
I would
really
pay
thinking
top
outside the
dollar.
box.
Yeah. The dream.
I'd do
Make
it.
it happen.
Your actor, director, producer, all in one.
Mm-hmm.
All the attention
I'll do that
you need.
I'll do the
during
lights.
the 2-hour nap time
Yeah.
that
Great.
my child graces me with.
That's all you
It's
need.
doable.
Yeah. All right. And on that note, I think we'll wrap down this part 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
So cozy down here.
Right? Thanks for being willing to get a little vulnerable with us and sharing some of your innermost thoughts and fears.
I'm happy to. I'm always happy to talk about myself.
Right? Isn't it fun? Isn't it fun to talk about yourself?
Well, like my podcast is
gonna say.
it's very, I love my show. I love the work that I do. It's so purpose driven. I see the effects of the stories that I tell and how I tell them on people, but people don't get to know me.
Yeah.
So it does make me happy to be able to talk about these things that I want my listeners and like people that I want to be like relatable. Like that's important to me, and like not in a false way. Like I want people to learn something about themselves or like feel seen, because I'm talking about some of the harder parts of my life and also some of the quirky things in my life.
Yeah.
So thank you
I know,
for
isn't it
giving me
fun?
that space.
Yeah, isn't it fun to like get to talk about yourself?
It is.
Yeah.
It is really fun.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I was saying to Kristen before you got here, I'm like, Kylie is so funny, and I feel like she doesn't get enough credit for it.
Thank
So,
you.
You are. Your texts always make me laugh.
Literally, people forget that I hosted a morning show.
Yeah.
I was so funny.
Kylie
Some of
Queen
the
on the Q Morning
nurses-
Show.
I was a big deal.
You were a
Yeah,
local
you
celebrity.
Were really funny.
With pink
And
hair.
still are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do. I miss flexing that muscle. So I really appreciate you guys opening the studio to me.
Oh yeah. Opening the basement door.
Yeah,
Moving
yeah.
your felt curtains.
Yeah, moved them aside to allow you in. Yeah, thank you for joining us. And go check out Kylie's podcast, Dark Downeast, if you want a little New England true crime.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Find us on all the social media stuff. You guys know the drill. We have to end this episode with a bod. Are you ready for our bod?
Bird of the day.
Oh, okay.
We got a bird theme going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of our spiel.
Yeah. This is where we share a fun fact about a bird, and then we play that bird's call, and then we all have to try to imitate it.
Okay.
So I hope you've been practicing your bird calls.
Yeah.
Whew.
I hope you're up on bird knowledge.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Bod.
I want your bod.
You remember that commercial?
No.
For the bod
I
body
think
spray?
we're the only people who remember that
No.
commercial.
I
It was
swear.
for Axe body spray, and it was
It
just
wasn't
like a bunch
Axe.
of
It was called bod.
It was called
It
bod,
a
but it was made by
Axe
the Axe people.
knockoff.
And it was just like a commercial of a bunch of like male torsos. And it
Nice
was like, nice bod. And they're
bod.
like dripping with
Nope.
like some sort of
Is
solution.
not landing.
She doesn't get
for
the
me.
reference.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
We gotta move on.
We gotta move on.
this is a little
Right, well,
embarrassing for us.
Anyways, our
Yeah.
bod is the brown sicklebill, a species of bird of paradise that is found in the mountain forests of New Guinea. brown sickle bill is, there weren't that many fun facts about this bird.
I'm already entertained.
It is a large bird up to 96 centimeters / 37 inches long.
Thank you.
Talk about bird dimensions. Dark blue and green with highly iridescent plumages, a sickle-shaped bill, pale blue irises, and brown underparts. Can you
Oh,
picture it now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Like
right?
I was
Especially the
there.
brown underpart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You like those brown underparts?
Yeah. That's what I want in a bird.
Those underparts got to be brown. All
All
right.
right,
Let's
are
hear
you
that
ready?
bod. Yeah.
Let me turn my
And you're going to
volume.
go first.
So uncomfortable.
Tell me about it.
This is-
It's good to like
Every
lean
week.
into
Okay.
how terrible and uncomfortable it is.
Mhm. It's nice.
Give the people what they want. It's nice. It's really nice.
We picked an easy one for you.
Yeah, really simple.
So,
It sounds like very throaty.
yeah.
yeah. It almost sounds like, for
Wait,
our
why do I
American
have to
listeners,
start?
that's not a gun.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah,
I was going to say
don't hit
that,
the
but
floor.
thank you for going
Yeah,
there for
no,
me.
I think some people are going to listen to this while they're driving, so don't.
That's a hard one.
Did I get it?
I think you nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Hard
can't
to
even tell the
Hey.
difference. Yeah,
Hey.
which one's Kylie, which one's YouTube.
It's really hard.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
I don't have
You got it.
the vocal range.
You
for
got
this.
it. You got it. It's better than mine. Both of you were better than me, I will say. A nice simple one for our
Mhm.
guests. Yeah. All right.